And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to another episode of Generation Shock. That's right, I'm your boy, the Monster on the mic, Check Monster. I got the always famous Messiah here with me. We got our special guest, G, and we're about to get into some conspiracy theories. But before we do that, you know what time it is. Let's kick it.
Cause, no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it.
That's right. Here we go. It's going to be a great episode. But before we get too deep into that, as always, we're going to have our favorite segment of the show with one of the best intros that we do, unlike some other stuff that's out there that we won't name. But we're going to go ahead and we got to kick it into the Monster Week in Sports. So let's get it.
Gotta climb to the top, but we're never gonna stop. When I'm low, yeah, we going high.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the Euro Cup because I've been watching it. I watched
I
yesterday.
watched it. I've been watching it.
Yes.
Well, it's
Italia.
like, actually they are. Yeah, they're up. They're,
Italy, right?
they're up
It's
to the
Italy
finals.
versus England,
Yeah.
which is going to be an epic freaking showdown, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Italy got lucky, like not lucky, but I always say when you go into to penalty kicks, it's you just don't know what's going to happen. I've seen a team literally get into the dance by scoring 5 straight, and then they scored 2 the next game doing the same damn players. So you just never know what's going to happen with those penalty kicks. But they deserve to win. Don't get me wrong, but Spain was a good team. Like, let's be honest. Nobody would have been shocked if Spain would have won and they would have done their thing. Nobody would have said nothing. It would have been fine.
It was the top 3 dogs got knocked out.
Who are those?
I think it was Spain, England.
England's in.
England's in the
England's
finals.
in the finals.
Spain. No, it was Spain and 2 others.
Denmark.
I haven't been keeping
Denmark.
up. So no, Denmark won. They beat Czech Republic.
Yes,
My wife
but they
was
lost
pissed.
Yeah, but they
England.
lost to England.
Correct.
Oh, did they?
Listen,
Ooh,
England,
okay.
England looked good today. I mean, I don't know if they're going to have the speed to keep up with Italy and everything, but they looked pretty damn good, and I think they got a good chance.
As
That's
a real
interesting.
soccer fan, dude, I will tell you I'm a little worried. I'm a diehard Italy fan.
Okay.
I've seen games in Italy. Like I've seen Inter Milan play AC Milan. Like I'm in that culture. I love soccer. So like I'm definitely a little worried because England is a solid squad, man. So we'll just be rooting for Asuri and hoping that they do their thing.
Do you have a favorite player?
Insigne.
Insigne?
You know why, right?
No,
Yeah, you know
why?
why though, right? Because he's the shortest guy on the group, bro, and he's
Oh,
out
he
there.
is.
yeah,
Dude,
yeah, he's the little guy.
He's like
He's
my
like
height.
my height.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like short as hell type stuff, right? Like
Yeah, man. I got a jersey.
His
I
name
got
is
his jersey,
Insignia,
too, so-
like the brand.
No,
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 not
Insigne. Insigne. His name is pronounced Insigne. You know
I
what's
apologize
crazy?
for this guy, everybody. Like if he insulted you in your soccer love or football love. No, would we say we were to call it on this show? Didn't we come up with
Football.
a saying for it?
No, we were gonna call it kickball.
Kickball. That's right.
Yeah,
Kickball.
I'm with
So
him.
that's right. Yeah.
Nelly,
so-
Nelly, that was Nelly's thing. He's like, yo, we call it a kickball.
yeah, because we're tired of the mistakes. So yeah, if you're into kickball or whatever, you could go check that out. We started a whole thing. #kickball. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hashtag it
Oh.
ain't soccer, it's kickball.
That's right.
You know it.
But the finals are up. Can you believe the Hawks lost?
Yeah, I could because Trae Young got hurt and stuff. Like, that's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying these two teams aren't deserving, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: is I'm not saying these teams aren't deserving. What I'm saying is, if all those other teams are at full capacity, full strength, everything else, I don't see the Suns I don't know if they're going to get past the West with a full strength. Clippers or Lakers. I don't know if Milwaukee just doesn't still seem good enough to get past a fully healthy Brooklyn team. So for me, it's like, okay, yeah, it's going to be exciting because these teams haven't won in forever. I don't think the Phoenix Suns have ever won the championship, and Milwaukee hasn't won it in like 50 years or something crazy. So I think it's going to be really cool that way. But at the same time, it's like, it's kind of it's like when Jordan left for those 2 years, right? Yeah, you won, but there's an asterisk because Jordan was playing baseball.
That's true. And they could you imagine they would have won 2 more years if he would have kept Well, that's hypothetical, right? If he would have stood there, there would have been 2 more years. It would have been 8 straight, bro. There's only
Just
one
like
other
the
team that has done
Patriots-
8 straight.
No,
No,
they
Just like the
would've won
in
it
Patriots
straight.
would have won
In
another
basketball.
Super Bowl, but last year the Patriots probably would have won a Super Bowl had they
Yeah,
kept
but
Tom
in
No,
Brady.
they
basketball-
wouldn't
In basketball, 8 straight. Who's the other team? Hold on, let me sip on this while you say the name.
have.
The Celtics?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
it
what-
is.
yeah,
8
I
so
straight.
respect the
that's-
Celtics.
hold
That's
on.
the only Boston
Do
team
you
I
know
respect.
why it was the Celtics? Because black people weren't allowed to play then. Like that's
Actually,
Ah,
Bill Russell
there
was
you go.
playing.
yeah.
Bill
Get
Russell
outta
was
here.
playing. What are you talking about?
So let me ask you
with
this:
the
who has
Celtics,
10
man.
championships? Well, what team did he play for? Was
Who?
he on the Celtics?
Yeah, Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the Celtics, he won 8 straight with them.
No, I thought.
Well, you watched those games in person, didn't you?
Yeah,
you
I
were
was there, courtside
Yeah.
with Red Auerbach and
you, were,
cigars.
he was. You didn't know he was coaching out there. You know, he was on the
Oh
side.
shit!
So
Yeah. So, what's on the agenda for today, Checkmaster?
now we
And
got
I'll introduce our guest.
Oh, so like I said, we have a special guest. We got our boy G out here. I'll let him introduce himself though, because I mean I don't know what I can say about him that he can't say about himself.
Oh yeah, well, I can definitely talk about myself all day. No, my name is G. You know, I'm just hanging out here with the guys. They asked me to come on and talk about conspiracies since
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite subjects. I like to keep my mind thinking and always thinking outside the box and not taking things for what they seem to be because things are never what they seem. So
All right, so then I'm gonna let you kick it off. I want to know what conspiracy theory would you like to start with? And you know, tell me a little bit, give me a little bit of backstory behind the conspiracy because I have no
Okay.
idea what we're about to get into with this. So
Yeah.
I may need a little
It's gonna be
backstory.
random conspiracies.
And maybe the viewers
Okay.
need a backstory. So I want to hear a little bit about it. Tell me where, you know, what happened and what is the conspiracy behind it. So myself and the viewers have a little bit of more information.
well, the one I want to kind of like touch on because it's something that's happening right now is the Uyghurs in China. I don't know if you guys know about that.
I do a little.
So what's happening is, from what I've read on BBC News, right? So this is mainstream media that's actually reporting on this. Is like mass genocide. So China is like taking a minority group. So imagine taking like, you know, well, not imagine, but like think of like the Holocaust, right? What happened to the Jewish community in Germany? Well, essentially the same thing's happening in China right now, and nobody's saying anything about it. Well, I guess BBC News is reporting on it, so it's starting to catch some wind. But it's kind of crazy, like that they're allowed to get away with that. So what they're doing is they're taking these indigenous people from northwestern China, and they're putting them in re-education camps and like making them work, torturing them, like essentially doing like things that should be illegal, and they're getting away with it. And I guess nobody's doing anything about it because it's China, right? Like who wants to F with China? Who wants to like
Yeah.
start shit with them, right?
You're allowed
Like,
to
so-
swear if you want to.
Okay. Oh yeah, no, for sure. Who wants to fuck with them, right? Like who
Yeah.
really wants to fuck with China? Especially when they're doing that to their own people. So like that's something I wanted to talk to you guys about, like and just kind of see if you guys have heard of it. Like understand what's going on. Like it's
I
kind of crazy.
seen a
Like even Joe
documentary on it.
Rogan talked about it.
Yeah. I seen a documentary on it. I believe it was Vice, that brought it up. There was something on Vice that I was watching on HBO, and they were talking about that, and I found that so interesting. I was like, that's kind of crazy. They're doing it to their own people, and and that's the part I'm like, why isn't this like bigger than what it is? Why aren't we out there? And that's why there's also protesting going on over there.
Yeah, well, they're still protesting, and the
Yeah.
thing that I think is the conspiracy is that that's going to be the catalyst, or like, you know, and I hate to sound like bleak or like extreme about it, but that could start World War III. Like seriously, like if you think about it, when World War II started, like it all started in Nazi Germany with like all the crap they were doing to the Jewish people, and you know, essentially China's kind of like doing like the same thing, except I don't think there's any evidence of like, you know, experiments on them with like gas chambers and like I don't know if you ever watched that movie Overlord.
But I think this is
Like
where
that
the
shit is
difference.
crazy.
But this is where I think the difference is, and I'm not condoning anything they do, and like I'm not saying any of that. The difference between World War II was Japan and Germany was actually trying to take over. Like Germany was trying to take over Europe and they were trying to conquer country to country, and Japan was trying to do the opposite, going the opposite way. And that I think that's what caused it, right? Besides what they did to the Jews and all that, and China is doing that to their own people.
I
right?
can't believe you just said. Besides what they did for the Jews, I mean, that's like
right.
the
Like
worst.
he
Yeah, I know.
just
That
downplays
come
that
off- that
shit
came
real
off-
quick, right? Like
That came
I ain't
off
no big deal.
fast. So thank you for correcting me on that
Well,
one.
hold on. Let
I
me
mean, that's
jump in
really
here
effed
then.
up.
Let me jump
Yeah,
in
go
here.
ahead.
All right. Couple things I want to say, right? Number one, I will agree. The war wasn't created because of what, unfortunately,
Yes.
the Nazis were doing to the Jewish population.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
The war started because of, like he was saying, that Germany was trying to expand its rule over its surrounding areas. Now, what happened is it became a human rights effort when people started to find out the atrocities that they were doing to the Jews, which now what it did is it allowed for other nations who maybe technically weren't going to have a part in the war to find a reason to get in. Now, there's a conspiracy theory that we're not going to get into, for instance, about the United States, right, with Pearl Harbor, and the fact that they allowed Pearl Harbor to happen because they needed a doorway into the war, right? And we're not going to get into that real
I've
quick.
actually never heard that. I never heard that.
You never heard of that?
Actually.
I've heard of that.
No,
we actually talked
I've
about
never
it here.
heard of that.
Yeah, we talked
Okay.
about it here.
Oh, there is like a lot of
Conspiracy behind it,
information out there that number one, the U.S. purposely provoked Japan into attacking. Right, number one. Number two, that we had complete knowledge of the attack before it happened, which is why if you go back and you look at the history of it, we only had a very small number of our Navy stationed at Pearl Harbor at the time.
Yeah, that's
the
crazy.
rest of them were out to
I
sea.
get
And they weren't
goosebumps.
there, right? So what
That's
happened
wild.
was they wanted that to happen because that was their way, because people didn't want us to join that war. There was a war in Europe. We just remember this wasn't very long after World War I, right? The people alive remembered what it was like to be a part of that world war. They didn't want to do that again. They didn't want to be a part of that again. So they were saying that, no, we don't want to get in there. We don't want to do this. This isn't our war. And then once Japan attacked us, everybody's like, yeah, hands down, we out there. Let's get them. But
And they use
No,
that,
for
and they
sure.
use that to motivate people to join the army and all that.
Yep.
You know why I
To
get
justify
goosebumps
the draft
that you
and
mentioned that?
everything.
You know why I get goosebumps when you mentioned that? Because
Why? Because you were there.
no, no. I was working at a retail store in Salem, New Hampshire, and my supervisor actually is in the military. At that time was in the military. I don't know if he's still active now. And he told me about. He goes, I'm not supposed to say this, but he told me this is that. But back then, I didn't know. I didn't believe in conspiracy. I still don't. I just entertain it for stupidity. But he told me about it. He's like, that you brought up the carriers. He goes, think about it. If you know the history, there was no carriers. There was the biggest carriers were out of out of Pearl Harbor, and then the attack happened. So they knew it was gonna happen. And he started telling me all this conspiracy shit. And back then, I didn't think about it as conspiracy. I just thought about it like, oh shit, I'm getting inside information. This is pretty cool. And now when you bring it up now and you talk about it, about the carriers and all that, I'm like, holy shit, that's the same thing he told me. And this was like a long time
That's
ago.
crazy. You know what's
Yeah.
crazy? I never actually heard of that. And it all makes sense, right? Because if you think about 9/11, like that's the same thing, right? It's a false flag operation.
Same thing.
It's psychological warfare, right? So like it's psyops, like, I won't disclose like my time in the military, but I will say that I was in the military and I know that there is a specific division that's dedicated just to psychological warfare, whether it's inside of the US or outside of the US, right? Because it makes sense, right? So like we needed an excuse to go into Afghanistan and control the poppy fields, right? Like I have buddies of mine that what they did was patrol the poppy fields in Afghanistan and control the heroin trade, right? The global drug trade is like essentially funding that war, which is wild. And then you think about all the shit that happened in that other building that fell and collapsed in New York that nobody talks about. I don't even know what the fucking the name
that's
of the
my
building.
part.
Building 7.
That's Champlain. That's the Champlain Tower. But that's the part I want to bring up. So since you bring it up,
Hold on. No,
Go ahead.
can we finish one conspiracy before we hop into
Go
another?
ahead,
yeah.
Go ahead.
My bad.
I get excited, bro. I
comments.
get excited.
I know. So that's why I said I didn't want to start it, but yeah, it was just, if you go back and look real quick on the Pearl Harbor thing, if you go back and look at the records, like with the fact of what was going on at Pearl Harbor was like not normal military procedure, right? The ships that were there, the ships that weren't there, that was not basic military procedure for the military to have done that. And that's where those conspiracies came from. But putting that aside, the whole thing in China, here's my question.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to understand, right?
Yeah.
What has changed, right?
So-
What is different today that China's doing? You got somebody peeking through your window.
That's my daughter.
Yeah.
I figured that.
I have to.
She wants to know what I'm doing.
But what's different today that's different than what's been going on, right? Why do people talk about not wanting there to be jobs given to China, right? Because you have children supposedly working in sweatshops for next to nothing. You have women doing stuff for like next to nothing. They abuse their population in order for profit. And this is nothing new. This isn't anything that's changed. So I guess my question I'm trying to understand with this whole thing is then, is it because people now suddenly care? Like what's different now than what's been going on? I mean, because they had a rule.
Different,
because
so what they're doing is they're targeting a specific minority group within their indigenous people, right? So think of like the Aztec, like going to Central or South America and taking people from the Amazon, right? And then taking those indigenous people and like, because they don't agree what's going on with the government, they're speaking up against the government, right? Like they're like, I don't agree with the shit. Like, I don't want to like comply with your communism. Like, fuck that. And what they did is they rounded them up and they put them in concentration camps. It's like mass genocide, bro. Like, it's crazy. And
how's
and
that
then like
different?
you mentioned, you know what's crazy though, dude? Like you mentioned Pearl Harbor, right? So the South China Sea, right? There's a big conflict down there with Taiwan and China,
there is.
right?
Mhm.
So with like, what if there's a, you know, and I hate to say it, but what if there's a U.S. carrier in the South China Sea, which we are there?
We
right?
are. Remember, we're by the Marshall Islands. We're by the Marshall Islands.
Something happens to them. You understand what I'm saying? And like we're attacked, then obviously it's going to provoke another war. And it's crazy because they always say history repeats itself, right? So I'm just curious to see what happens.
What's behind war? There's profit behind war. When the economy,
oh my God, yeah.
We've known this country to have genocidal, gendercidal. Like I don't know what the word is, but they've
genocide.
They've done things with the sex of children. You know, as far as killing them, getting rid of so that's I guess to me like this is where. Is it now? Because I think the only real difference between now and then, and this is what bothers me a little bit, is that the government maybe sees a way in, right? Yeah. And so these governments who've been wanting to get in on China and get the profit from it now finally have an opening. Oh, wait. There's
now they
people
have
who are standing
excuse.
up against you wherever, but it's okay if they're blindly allowing you to abuse children and women and everything else. We won't say a damn word for you. We won't do a damn thing for you. But the second there's somebody that we can exploit as a government, now we're going to have your back. That's bullshit.
No, it's complete bullshit. And like, you know what's crazy? And I'm sorry to cut you off, Lewis. Like the thing that I think stands out to me, man, is the fact that we get a lot of our goods from them, right? So I think that the trade that we have with them, the trade deals, it's not like Germany, right? Like we don't have the same trade deals we had with Germany back in the day than we do with China today.
Yeah.
So I think that it would impact the other things that like control society in the United States, right? So like you think of like television, like they make TVs in Taiwan, they make TVs in Korea, they make TVs in China, they make TVs everywhere, right? So like televisions are a mechanism of control. Like the CIA created the television for mind control when it was first invented. So, and that's why they call it TV programs, because it programs you, right? You hear the same shit over and over, and there's like paranoid people that all they do is watch news and believe everything they see on TV. They believe everything they see on their Facebook page, right? So like, you don't have to like Q is a perfect example of that, right? So like,
bro, don't even get me started on Q, bro.
I know. Me and you talked about it before, but like, if you don't have your iPhone, right, you can't go online and you can't see all the crap Q has to say, or you know what I mean? So like, I feel like there's conflicting parties there, but at the same time, like I think they're pushing, they're trying to push their limits in China. Let's see, like, what can we get away with, and like people not do shit about it.
Yeah, it's
to your point, right? Because they've been killing people for years.
It's mad funny how Tasha, she's like, yo, all of a sudden all three of you guys might disappear one day.
Hey,
calling out
I
the
didn't
military,
hang
so-
myself. Let's just
Yeah,
say
because we're
that.
calling out the military. So now we're gone.
Yeah,
So,
right. Well, the Patriot
yeah,
Act is another fucking conspiracy. If you want to talk about that, like, I mean,
there's a whole bunch of shit.
Well, listen, honestly, you brought like things that you said brought up like multiple different other conspiracies that are out there that we don't necessarily need to get into, but I just want to bring up what they are because I think it's funny that you say these things. And there's a lot of people out there who completely agree with those same conspiracies, just in a different way, right?
Yeah.
So, for instance, there's hold on, let me find it real quick because I want to make sure I get it right. Go ahead, you guys talk for a second. I got to
All right,
locate
so
it.
go ahead, Louis.
Go ahead,
I
go ahead.
interrupted you earlier. No,
No,
I was
you
gonna say
like-
I'll send Sheckman the link from the BBC article I sent you, or send it to him so you can see what I was talking about.
Here's
when
one.
It comes
Here
to
it
the
is.
Chinese
This
stuff.
is one of them. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read this to you, and we don't have to get into it, but because you brought it up about the drug trafficking and all this. So it's called Pan Am Flight 103. I don't know if
Yeah,
you've ever
okay.
heard of it. Have you?
Is you talking about the trade that goes from South America to California?
No, but close.
Okay.
No.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to read this short paragraph for you real quick.
Please
all right?
do.
So Pan Am Flight 103 was a Pan American third daily scheduled transatlantic flight from Heathrow to New York John F. Kennedy International Airport on December 21st, 1988. The aircraft flying this route, a Boeing 747, was destroyed by a bomb, killing all 259 people on board and all 11 people on the ground. The remains landed around the Lockerbie in southern Scotland. A popular theory for which no evidence has been produced suggests that the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, had set up a protected drug route from Europe to the United States. Allegedly
crazy.
called, hold on,
That's real.
allegedly called Operation Korea, which allowed Syrian drug dealers to ship heroin to the United States using Pan Am flights. The CIA allegedly protected the suitcase containing the drugs and made sure that they were not searched. On the day of the bombing, terrorists exchanged suitcases, one with the drugs for one with a bomb. Another version of this theory is that the CIA knew in advance this exchange would take place, but let it happen anyway because the protected drug route was a rogue operation, and the American intelligence officer on the flight had found out about it, and they were on their way to Washington to tell their superiors.
Now, is that a conspiracy or is that something that really happened?
No, that's the flight is real.
The flight really happened.
Correct.
but
the conspiracy around it
Okay, all right.
about the
I believe
drug
it.
trade,
I
about
believe
it being
it
a
all
rogue
day.
operation.
Well,
I believe
the
it all
CIA,
day.
there's been reports by actual reporters back in the 80s that that claim that the CIA or any government firm and all that is involved in drug trades. And it's
Of
the reason
course,
why we have
it
a
is.
drug pandemic in this country.
Dude, there's a movie. So the Illuminati, and I hate to bring up the Illuminati, right? So let's just
We're gonna
call
have a
it
whole
like
episode about it. Don't worry.
Yeah, we do.
Let's do it. I'm down. I'm so down. Let's just talk about like the people that control the world, right? So they want to essentially control everything, right? So the CIA and they joke about it in our face, right? So like when you watch movies, like some of those movies have a reality to it. Tom Cruise,
But they have
has
to
a
do
movie.
research behind the
Well,
movie to be in order to film the
Tom
movie.
Cruise has a movie where he was the pilot
Yeah.
that flew the drugs from Bolivia, I believe, or Colombia into
Yeah.
Nicaragua, from Nicaragua to the United States and Miami
Yeah.
or wherever. Like that shit is real, dude. Like I don't
Well, they're all
think
based on
that-
true story, according to the reports.
Yeah, like exactly. So like all that stuff is real. So it doesn't surprise me that, that actually happened in 1988. Like it's definitely happening. Like, and I will tell you, the person that told me about Afghanistan and protecting poppy fields, Al Qaeda controls that drug trade.
I mean, it makes sense. Shit,
There's like
the
it
war
really
on
does.
drug is
Why
one
did we
war
go
we
to-
never
why did
gonna,
we
we
go
ne-
to
it's
Al-
never gonna finish. Yo, think
I
about this.
remember in
Drugs
03.
create illegal drugs create so many jobs. If you stop that, all those jobs will be gone.
Not only like it creates, like it stimulates the economy,
Yep.
right? Because it's all about profit at the end of the day, right? It's about like how do I put money in my pocket? Like
Yeah.
it kills people, right? Which is another agenda, right? Population control. It keeps people dumb, which is another fucking thing that like obviously is happening.
It's off the checklist. Everything that's on the checklist.
Like so, like it's a systematic system that or
It works.
strategy that like works, right? So I it doesn't surprise me at all, and I totally believe that. And,
All right, so
go ahead.
but I got another one, and this is to change this one to jump in this one because this is more recent, and I want to bring this up because when I heard about it, I immediately knew it was a QAnon conspiracy. I knew it the minute I heard it.
I know where you're going.
So mine is about the McAfee, right? The McAfee guy, John McAfee, I think was his name.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know his
McAfee.
story,
It's
McAfee. Yeah, McAfee. If you don't know his story, he's the guy. He's a big tech guy. He's actually the reason that cryptocurrency exists. He's one of the pioneers behind cryptocurrency. One of the pioneers. I'm not saying he is. He's one of the pioneers behind it.
Yep.
But he also used to work. He actually he went to Silicon Valley, created his. He started researching antiviruses and all that, and then he created his own, which is the antivirus McAfee. The antivirus. It made him a bunch of money. So, anyways. So
He's a genius.
He is. So he became a villain to a lot of countries, right? He was wanted also by the United States. So he was big. There was a big conspiracy behind it where he said, if I ever kill myself, I never did because I'm not suicidal. This and that. He tattooed himself. There was a Twitter that he tattooed himself S-Whack, right? And I guess the money sign whack. He goes, I would never do that shit to myself and any of that. But anyways, then he was found dead in Spain, right? In a jail in Spain. But according to his wife, an article that I was reading, his wife was saying that he's doing fine. He never talked about. He never led to me about killing himself. So I don't believe he did it. I believe that he was killed, right? So the whole thing behind it, then somebody got caught wind of it, and they're saying that he supposedly had top secrets that he was about to release to the public on big top global influencers, right? That control the world. And supposedly it was supposed to be, he had it in Miami. And guess the location in Miami where he had it. Just take
where
a wild
that building
guess.
collapsed. The building
Champlain Tower, right? So with the
Yep.
Champlain Tower. So all of a sudden he dies and that tower comes down. So some QAnon person just decided to put two and two together. Here's the thing about conspiracy. One of my favorite things that one of my favorite lines that I heard somebody that debunks conspiracy. One of the things he always says, this is the thing about conspiracy. This is how it always gets started. I don't know how it happened, quote unquote, but let me tell you how it really happened. so think about that. And I love that line because it's so true. And the reason why I entertain conspiracy is because I love to hear, but it also opens your mind to, questions a lot of shit. But I love to hear how ridiculous it can sound.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I entertain it. I love it.
You know what's crazy? I actually, speaking of cryptocurrency, I've been following McAfee for the past 5 to 6 years on Twitter, right? And I truly don't believe he killed himself. Like, genuinely, in my heart, I don't believe he killed himself. I definitely think something happened to him, just like Jeffrey Epstein. So, And now Epstein probably fucking deserves to die because he's a piece of shit, right? Let's just put that out there. Like all that is definitely true. I can't say McAfee isn't, but I don't know enough about him to like make me jump to that conclusion. I know enough about Jeffrey Epstein to jump to that conclusion, right? So like that's effed up. But besides the point, I actually have WAC token, and I'm not trying to shill a cryptocurrency, but I have it. I have tons of it, and hopefully it moves. And the reason they call it WAC token is when you use it, it kills off some of the total supply, it thus increasing the value of the currency, right? So if I send you WAC, right? Let's say I send you 1,000 WAC token, right, to your wallet, to your crypto wallet.
Yeah.
X amount of WAC token is burned because I've transferred money to you. So you diminish supply, increases value, right? So less supply, more value, more demand.
Okay. So let's so back to the McAfee, since we're still talking about him. So supposedly his son, but the thing that's sad about this, for me, the sad reality is, one, I don't think it's a conspiracy why that building came down. I think it was mostly a structural thing. It really was a structural thing. I talked about it last week. Last week. No, last week I talked about it, and I made it my fuck out of here. And it's sad for the people. Like today, they announced 50 people found dead. 80 other ones are still haven't been found. So that's the sad reality behind it, right?
Yeah.
Now, according to conspiracy, it's just they were just what do you call it, collateral damage. Like, I don't believe in shit like that though. I can't see that. Maybe it's because I don't have
Here's the thing. Do you know why that's going to be fueled?
Why?
Because if you I know nothing about what you're talking about, but I know about the Miami building collapse. And I read an article
Champlain
about
Tower.
it.
Yep.
I read an article about it, right? And the thing that struck me as odd when I read that article, and I'm not saying I'm leaning into it, but I'm not saying I'm not.
Lean, my friend, lean.
The thing that struck me as very, very odd and very peculiar is in the middle of trying to locate survivors, that the governor of Florida put down a mandate to stop all work on it and to
there's a hurricane coming.
Hold on, let me finish. And to demolish the remaining part of the building in a controlled demolition, not knowing how that's going to affect the other people under. But hold on. As if they are trying to either delay something, get rid of something, or cover something up, and they needed more time to do it.
No. Okay, yep. So can I speak now? Okay,
yes.
So
yeah, go ahead.
First of all, the north side of the tower, because I think it was the south side that collapsed. I could have the direction wrong. Anyways, the part that collapsed, well, since 2018, there was the homeowners association, the condos association. They knew that they had to do reconstruction in that area because there was already crack in the foundation, there was crack on the cement and all that. That's one thing. Two, it's anybody related to McAfee was debunked that never lived there, because the reason why they were saying his son and all that, and he had the terabytes of information of those
31 terabytes.
Yeah, of those people. That's two. The reason why they knocked down that other part of the tower, and they did it on the other side of the street, so they won't interrupt the search that they're doing on the other side. They did it. They did come down with it. But they did it on the opposite side, so they won't interrupt that side. So
what do you mean interrupt? They shut down search and rescue.
They did, so they could demolish it to the other side. So they could demolish it to the other side.
What's the definition of interrupted? When you stop doing something because of something else, you've interrupted it.
Check Monster. What you're missing? Can I point out? Look, one second. What you're missing is there was worries about there could have been some survivors still probably there. Or if there was a chance, they were still there. So they, in order to demolish, bring down the rest of the building, because it was time to, because you're not gonna leave it there. So they did the engineering behind it, and they knocked it down the other side, so it won't interrupt anything on the other side.
Stop saying the word interrupt, because they stopped searching for people. The search for lives was interrupted. They stopped search.
Of course, they had to.
So stop. So listen to yourself. You're sitting there saying that it wasn't interrupted, and then you're saying, of course, they stopped.
Well, wait, but what I mean by interrupted, they won't like. I don't think interrupt is the wrong. Interrupt is the wrong word. So they won't. So it doesn't interfere with if there's a chance.
Listen, the bottom.
If there's a chance of a survivor.
So just listen. I could come out and tell you a million different reasons why I'm going to do something, but there's been hurricanes and tornadoes and all this shit happened throughout all these areas, right?
Yeah.
I've never once heard of them saying, you know what? We're going to stop searching for human life so we can demolish more of that
rest of the building that's sitting there. Why not? It's a hazardous.
What do you mean why not? Because people's lives are on the line. Their lives.
Can I point out the obvious?
Their lives are on the line.
Go ahead.
Can I point out
the obvious?
Do you know what their excuse was of why they demolished that building?
Why?
And you're telling me it wasn't there, right? It was far enough away. They said they demolished that building because they felt that the emergency workers who were searching for bodies were in danger. How are they in danger if you're telling me it didn't affect the area of the people who were collapsed?
What I say that what didn't affect them was the way it was going to come down when they demolished it. That wasn't going to affect it.
All right. So can I point out the obvious real quick?
Yeah.
So in my lifetime, right, I've never seen a building collapse just half of the building.
Why not? It's possible,
bro. And like think about it, bro. If this side of the building is structurally
You ever
like
seen
the integrity
sinkholes?
of this side of the structure. No, hear me
Yeah.
out though. Like, would you like the building? Let's agree on one thing, right? The building was completed together, right? Like it was built from the bottom up
Yeah.
at the same time. So how is the one side of the building that doesn't even face like the ocean, right, where you would get the most damage from, the side that collapses? You understand what I'm saying? So like that shit was a bomb, dog. Like I'm telling you, that shit was controlled demolition for half the building to collapse like that. There's no way that only half.
If it was
the World Trade
controlled
Center
demolition, the whole building would have
collapsed
came down.
from
Not
the
if you're
top
not
all
trying to
the way
collapse
down.
the whole
Dude.
building.
You're only trying to
You
collapse,
collapse
half
the
of it.
whole building. That looks a little suspicious. So
So leaving half of it erected doesn't seem suspicious. Come on,
But like it's controlled demolition. I think strategic, like, I'm no structural engineer, right? So like I'm not an architect, I'm no expert, but like logically thinking, just thinking out loud, right? If your house that you built or a building that you built and only half of it falls apart, like that doesn't make sense, man. Like the rest of it would collapse on itself.
yeah, I can see that.
Listen, Natasha said the same thing. She goes, "Look, they shouldn't have stopped at any point looking for survivors. Period."
Well, they
Like,
didn't
I've
stop.
never
They
heard
didn't
that.
stop. But
in all
after
my
8
years of my
days-
life,
after 8
I've
days-
never heard of them being like, you know what? These are the critical moments between life and death. But we're just gonna say, you know what? Let's just go ahead and wait.
But after
Yeah,
8
fuck it.
days, after 8, well, first
Like,
of all,
fuck those
after
people,
8
right? Like, it's
days,
messed up.
after 8 days, it's hard for a survivor to be found. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's hard. 2, there was a
I
hurricane
would
coming.
challenge that.
How
Right?
long
Two, there was a
before
hurricane
they
coming.
suspended?
A hurricane
How
that didn't
long
even knock
was
a
it
chair
before they
over,
suspended
dude.
the search, though?
Huh?
It
What
wasn't. It didn't take 8 days for them to suspend the search. It was quicker than
No.
that, I believe.
No. The reason why it took they were searching continue. It came to a rescue. It became a rescue, and then today they announced it's no longer a rescue. Now it's a recovery or
Search
whatever they call it.
Yes, because they collapsed the other building.
Yeah, but they collapsed it on the other side, not on the same side.
Yeah, because the first side
You
was controlled, so
contradict
they did the
yourself
other half.
so much.
How am I contradicting myself?
Because if it's on the other side, how is it in danger the rescue workers who are trying to find the
that's how
survivors?
good it was that it was. They were like, listen, in case in case there are a possibility of any survivors, we can't collapse this building on top of them. Let's do it the other side, and they did.
What do you
No.
mean they collapsed it on the other side? Like I don't.
The building
other
already
side of
collapsed
the
on those
road.
people, dude.
They
Yeah,
look it
but
up.
the building already collapsed on those people. Like those people are probably dead, bro. There's no way they're survived.
No,
more
not
than 8
probably. They
days.
are.
But
They already announced 50 of them. But there was a possibility past 8 days because what happened in Haiti a couple of years ago, on the 8th day
did you
they
hear the
found the
Haitian
girl.
president got murdered?
Oh yeah, I heard about that today. It happened today.
That's just
And
crazy.
supposedly
bro.
the person was speaking Spanish when they did it.
Oh, they was probably Dominican, bro. Dominican.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, yo,
it's a
Trujillo's
shame.
alive, bro. Trujillo's
Bro,
alive.
That's a shame, bro. It's so bad. Like that hate is so bad, dude. Like
Yeah.
there's no
But anyways,
reason any
But
culture
back
should
to
change
the
people
thing.
like that.
In Haiti, one of the rescue guys was there in Miami, and he talked about it. He goes, in the 8th day, we found somebody. So there's still, he goes, because they asked him, what are the chances? He goes, there's still chances. We have hope because in the 8th day, we found somebody in Haiti. And he started crying as he was talking about it because he was reliving that moment. And I'm like, holy shit. I mean, that's crazy. Like there was hope after 8 days. So that's why when they brought this building, the second part of the building down, they brought it down where it doesn't spoil or doesn't come over to the side that there's possibly was somebody there alive. If that makes any sense.
I
There's
mean,
engineering
honestly, when
behind it.
buildings collapse like that, though, Lewis, or excuse me, it's all about earthquakes, right? So like when that happened in Haiti, like it was an earthquake. Like,
Yeah,
you know
it
what
was,
I'm saying, bro? Like it's an earthquake. So I've never seen a building collapse, just half of it, unless it's like a controlled.
If it has
demolition, bro.
structural,
Like,
if
it's
it has
controlled.
structural, I can see it though. If it has structural,
Man,
if it's not
Listen,
done
I'd be-
correctly.
I do understand this. I get what he's saying because that's like saying like when we've had bridges that's collapsed in America,
Yeah.
right? And we're like,
We had a
how does
sinkhole
that
here.
happen? So look, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not.
We
saying,
had a sinkhole here in Florida that brought down a whole resort, half a resort.
I get it. So I'm not saying it's not possible, but like I say, when you start to add up some of the other things, right? That's where it becomes a conspiracy. because it's not common, it's not normal, and it's out of the ordinary. Everything that's going on with that is very, very out of the ordinary from a normal situation.
Absolutely.
And that's what causes it to become a conspiracy. Right?
Yeah, but how do you put that together with McAfee's death? How do you put that together? How does that even make sense?
Because you said it, there's a connection with him to that building in Miami. That's all you need. You don't need any plausible.
But there was no
stuff.
connection behind it. It was debunked.
But that's what
he did.
you
One,
don't
he didn't own the
right?
building.
The people
One, he
that
didn't own the building.
You
He had
don't
no
get what
family
a
members
conspiracy
in the
is.
building.
Lewis,
Can you
Lewis,
understand?
I will always believe the conspiracy. You know why? Because the media is controlled by those who are orchestrating the conspiracy. Therefore, they're going to tell you what they want you to believe.
Right? We're not going to get into aliens, right? In this whole thing. But do you believe in aliens? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
I believe
aliens.
in
Aliens exist.
So here's the thing. It's been debunked that no spaceship ever crashed in New Mexico. It's been debunked. Does that make it not true? Like people are going to debunk these conspiracy theories. That's their job. But yet they said that there was no alien aircraft, but then they had the Blue Book Project, right? That went into researching about aliens. So listen, of course they're going to you have to choose. Do you believe the people that are out there going to be like, well, no, we never had information that the Japanese were coming to kill us? Or do you believe that, wait, these guys are out there doing some dirt and they're going to put a plausible story? Are they going to give you an unplausible story like a weather balloon? No, they're going to give you something plausible to believe. Like, come on, bro.
For sure, I believe you. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, but that's the thing about conspiracy. It opens up all those questions and it helps you do research. That's what I love about it.
All right, I got one I wanted to jump in there because I thought it was really cool because we don't have too much time, but I think we have enough time to talk about this. And it kind of fits into G's wheelhouse because it has to do with the military, which I think is pretty cool. And so let me pull this up real quick because I wanted to make sure I had some ready. Where is it? It's the Philadelphia experiment. Do you know about that?
Never heard of that.
Educating.
Oh, okay.
I've heard of it.
Can I give you the
but I
backstory
don't
why I
know
brought
enough
this
about
up?
it.
Are you talking about the wait? Are you talking about the
Eagle
acid?
this up?
You talking about the acid or the
The Eagles suck.
Hold on. The Philadelphia experiment. The reason I brought this up is, are you guys watching the Loki show?
No, not
No,
yet.
I
I haven't
Is it
watched
good?
Yes, it's getting really good too. So the this last episode that aired today had the Philadelphia experiment as like a little, you know how they do like Easter eggs and shit?
Yeah.
Well, this was an Easter egg in the show, the Philadelphia experiment. So this is what it was. Popularized by Charles Berlitz, novel of the same name, conspiracy theorists believe that during an experiment at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in October 1943, the U.S. Navy destroyer Eldridge was rendered invisible. According to the same account, the scientists on the experiment found a way to bend light around an object, but that the experiment went wrong and Eldridge, the ship, was transported through space and time, reappearing at sea. Several sailors, it said, were badly hurt when the experiment went wrong, and some were melded into the ship's superstructure. The U.S. Navy has denied that the experiment ever took place. Now, my point, so just so you know, I'm not going to spoil Loki, right? But in Loki, with everything that's going on, because you guys know it's about time, right?
Yeah.
The Loki show. So I'll leave it at that. But in this episode, that ship lands where Loki is. Okay? And so that's what sparked me thinking about it. So it's just some more crazy shit.
It's like The Simpsons, bro.
Yeah.
With the creator of The Simpsons, people say that the man time traveled.
You know, Matt Groening.
Like there's episode that he like the Ebola shit, the Ebola outbreak. Fucking Donald Trump going up the escalator. Well, but I'm just saying though, like Donald Trump going up the escalator, like it's too freaking
but here's the thing.
Accurate.
Well, here's the thing. I will say I've heard about that theory too. The difference with that than this is, if I put out over 600 episodes of something.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's
over 35 years that some of this stuff may happen, right? Like let's be honest. Donald Trump had been a forefront in our
Yeah,
social,
since the 90s.
Yeah, our social being, that you're going to do some episodes with him, right? You're gonna do
And plus,
some
he's been talking
episodes
about becoming president for
like
years.
you're literally going to go off the wall and think, what's the crazy shit to go on? Oh, Ebola or whatever. So like, yeah, some of it is like, come on, you know.
I don't know, man. I've seen some shit. Like, there's been like tons of like things online that you watch. I like to keep my mind open to that stuff, just because I don't want to. I'm one of those people that always goes against the norm, right? Like, I like to be
see that.
the,
You
the
were probably-
underdog. You know
you
what
were
I mean? I
probably
want to be the
rooting for-
underdog. Like, go ahead.
You're probably rooting for the Cubs to win the World Series, so you could be like, "Back to the Future's true. It's all real. I swear to you." They predicted it.
Back to
They
the Future is so
predicted
true.
it.
Yeah.
No,
But
the Avengers
seriously, like,
debunked it.
well, did they in the Loki thing? I have to watch.
No,
that
the
shit.
Avengers movie. Remember where
When they talked about
it's
it?
Ant-Man and Professor Hulk and them, and they're sitting around talking, and he's like, "So Back to the Future's bullshit."
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah,
talked
yeah,
about
yeah,
it,
I
about
remember
different
that. I
time
remember
traveling.
that too.
Yeah. So
No, but imagine though, like time travel, like Elon Musk like talked about it like not too long ago. I think he was talking about it on Joe Rogan podcast. Like, I always like watching like the Joe Rogan podcast when Elon's on there, because he talks about some wild shit. Like Neuralink, that shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I think Elon's the next freaking McAfee, bro. Like, he's gonna hang himself. Like, it's gonna happen.
You
dude.
think so? Nah.
I think so.
He
bro.
means too
Like,
much.
just
He
because-
means too much to the world right now.
That's
Who?
more than a reason to kill him.
Elon Musk.
oh, I could see him being taken out.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but I can see it because, like he
Ugh.
just said, he's getting too involved in things that are a
Conflict of
cash
interest.
grab for the military, right? You're trying to demilitarize, not militarize,
But he's doing
but
so much
government.
for humanity.
It doesn't matter. He's
Doesn't matter.
trying
They
to
don't care.
like the government. Think about all the money the government hides in space travel, right? So they write a budget out, and I guarantee you, I'll tell you, here's another conspiracy, but I guarantee you it's true. The money they write out for those space programs ain't going to the space programs, right? They're using it for those
you just said
black
that
ops.
line. You just said that line. You're like, I don't know how it happens, but let me tell you how it really happens.
Exactly. I'm telling you, they're writing out checks for those drug trades and all that other shit, all that dirty
I
handed
believe it.
secondhand shit, right? So you're stuck in a position that he's trying to take the money from the government, because right now the government had a monopoly on this industry,
Yeah.
and now this guy's coming out and he's
Well,
trying to make it a
NASA
public
went
business.
private a long time ago. NASA went private before Elon Musk.
Yeah, but NASA relies on government funding.
Funding.
Used
At the
to.
end of the day.
No,
Used
they
to.
still do.
They
Where
still
do they
do,
get their
dude.
money?
No, they got.
They're
That's
not
Yeah,
a
they
private
do.
company.
Like,
How do they
like,
get their,
the-
how do they
freaking
make a
Obama
profit?
cut their funding.
How does
Obama cut
NASA
their
make a
funding.
profit?
Mo, they're owned by private companies now.
Who?
It doesn't matter if they're
NASA.
owned. They still
Boeing-
rely
Boeing
on
doesn't own
government
NASA.
contracts.
They give the contracts to them.
Yeah,
The
but they're
government owns
owned.
the
They're no
contracts,
longer
dude.
backed up by the government. That happened like
doesn't
a couple
matter.
of years ago.
They're not backed by the government, but they're still funded by the government, bro.
There's a difference.
It's not a government branch. It's not a government entity. Like, that's why we have the Space Force. All of a
Yeah, I was
sudden,
gonna say.
right?
I
So,
was
like,
about to say Space Force.
Like, that shit is real, dude. Like, I don't know, man.
It's not like the
That-
post
that-
office, who is self-sufficient from the government, right?
The post office is obsolete.
It is.
No, they're not.
There's
COVID
email.
brought them back. Are you fucking kidding
Oh,
me?
yeah, yeah. That's true.
They're more
not
important now than they
COVID.
ever
Not
were.
COVID. Not COVID. Amazon brought them back.
No.
Amazon and all these online orders brought
COVID.
them back.
COVID brought them back because with all Amazon was doing
Bro,
fine shipping on
Amazon.
their own.
Listen, Amazon don't deliver on Sundays, but they do through the post office.
It doesn't
I mean,
matter,
the post
though.
office doesn't work on Sundays, but they work for Amazon on Sunday.
Here's the thing.
That's crazy, right?
Because they're
Yeah.
for profit, so it makes sense.
They work for Amazon.
On Sunday,
here-
on
but
the
here's the
weekends.
Do you think
It's a
Amazon
cyborg,
wouldn't be
bro.
able to be able to make enough to do their own shit if
No,
they
the
want?
only way they used to make their money is through post office.
They don't pay taxes. They have to.
Notes, stamps, and anything collectible. That's how they used to make their money. They don't do that anymore because people don't use mails anymore.
No.
People still get packages every day. What are you talking
They
about?
do because they get it through online stores.
Okay,
And
so
Yeah,
they're
Amazon-
they use their own
important still
delivery
because
system. Amazon
why are
uses their
people
own
going through
delivery
online
system, bro.
stores? Because of COVID. Hence, COVID
Yeah,
brought
yeah.
back.
Of
So
course.
we could start a new conspiracy right here live. The
COVID.
U.S. government, in order to bring the postal company back into relevance, created COVID. Just let that sink
Well,
in.
actually,
Yo,
Donald Trump wanted to get rid of the post office.
Yeah.
He
And
did.
then-
He wanted to get rid of it.
And then China got pissed off that he was going to get rid of their way to smuggle shit, and they created. I mean, there's all kinds of conspiracy about China
Yo.
too.
Dude, Kaspersky. Let's talk about Russia. Let's go there.
Dude, we don't have time.
Dude, I don't
tonight.
have time. We don't have
Yeah,
time.
we don't have time tonight.
But
Listen-
remember,
man.
this is part 3, conspiracy
We're
part
gonna
3.
have so many
there will be a
parts.
part 4. There will be
We
be
got to
more
start.
coming,
Listen,
bro.
you start getting your ideas together. We'll start jotting them down, and we'll start doing the research, and we'll get it ready. But
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm down. I'm
We're
always
getting
down
to
to
that
talk about
point of time.
conspiracies. I love that stuff.
Real quick, let's read some stuff that was going on here because Tasha's typing up and I haven't been looking. Or Vic R. I understand they didn't want to hurt the workers looking for survivors, but I never heard of stopping to knock down the rest of the building down. Completely agree. Plus, diminishes the rest of the proof of how the building actually collapsed. 100% true. Now you have no real evidence on what really caused it because you collapsed
True.
in another building on top of it.
Hey,
Oh my
controlled
gosh.
demolition, bro. I seen the video. Have you guys seen the video?
Listen, they didn't
The
collapse
video
the
doesn't
building
lie,
on
dude.
top of the old rubble. They collapsed it to the other side of the street.
Yeah, because it's controlled. It's controlled demolition.
Yeah,
How did they do it so quickly?
because they're good like that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
The engineer.
I don't know, man. I just want to poke the bear, dude. I just want to poke the
Oh,
bear.
wait.
dog.
Tasha's a little upset because we're talking about the
Yeah,
post office.
she works
and
for the
she
post
works for
office.
it.
She's like, hey, I work for the post office.
Oh, I know. I love the post office, man. I love my mail every
So
day.
you have your new Amazon shirt? I mean, USPS shirt?
Yo, it's crazy. Amazon
Uh,
has their own delivery, right? Like
Yeah.
UPS and freaking FedEx are gonna become obsolete because of Amazon. Amazon's gonna make everything obsolete, dude.
Well, they would, like I said, Amazon pays
Dude, it's
uses
wild.
So here's the thing.
uses.
Next theory,
USPS.
right? The Pixar theory. We are living in a Pixar world, right? And there's that one conglomerate in Pixar that was in control of everything. I forget what it's called, but that's what Amazon's becoming. Is that conglomerate that will have
Skynet.
control of everything. And
Well,
you know
that's,
what? Here's the thing.
Terminator.
There's going to be two major companies left in the world when it's all said and done. Amazon,
Apple
and
and Amazon.
Google and Amazon. That's it.
Apple and Amazon.
Nope.
Google search is a search
maybe
engine.
3. We could give them 3.
No, Google's not a search engine. Are you stupid?
Google is a search engine. That's it.
You're fucking nuts. You're fucking nuts, dude.
That's all
Dude,
it is.
They have
Google-
cell phones.
no,
they have
they're-
cell
they-
phone
I
service.
get they have the phone,
They
the
have
cell phone, but
internet.
their cell phone is not a big. It's
No,
not. It's not their money
Tesla
maker.
has to, Tesla has to be up there in the top 5, dog.
Do you think
No,
so?
because you know what, what you guys
absolutely,
don't
bro.
get, what you don't get is Google
Neuralink
and
is
Amazon will have enough money to buy a Tesla, to buy
They
an
will.
Apple, to buy. Listen, Apple's shown in its past. it's
Apple's
not-
the most valuable company. What are you talking about? Apple's the
Listen
most
to
valuable
me.
company in the world.
Listen to
it's
me.
$2 trillion.
No,
Hold on.
it's not more
Apple-
valuable than Tesla. I will
Yo,
ask Siri.
I
right
bet
now.
you they're more
Apple-
valuable.
App-
Apple's
listen.
the most valuable company in the world.
You're not listening though.
Is
Apple's
Apple more
already
valuable than
shown
Tesla?
that it can be toppled. You know why? It toppled itself when it lost Steve Jobs the first time and he came back. They were at like $8 a share
Yeah, they were.
and shit. They were literally did not
And
know what to
Steve
do
Jobs
with
brought it back
themselves.
together, and then Tim Cook took it to the next level.
Okay, so you're telling me that can't happen again with Apple?
It can happen with any company, but it's not going to go down to $8.
There's a
ever.
difference. There's a difference.
don't think so.
The type of here's what you're not understanding. It's what you're producing and manufacturing, right? Amazon, hypothetical, and I'm not saying they will. Let's say Amazon decides they're going to put a ton of money, right, into doing
What?
computers,
Okay.
right? And they get their own develop. They start to.
Did
do
you
all
get your
this
answer,
thing. 'Cause guess
John?
Who, you know what?
G?
Yes,
Get-
I did. I
Because
did. And
guess
Tesla's
who
more
is
valuable.
competing with it? Guess who competes with Apple in computers? Google.
Microsoft. That's it.
Google has
Chromebooks, bro,
Chromebooks
all day.
are
With the
huge.
Chromebooks all day.
Yeah, but
So that's Google.
Dude,
Okay.
you
So
know what's crazy about Tesla though? Like Tesla
Amazon has smart home products. They have routers. They have all of that shit now.
they have
Yeah, but
your
Tesla's
your
going to
security
fucking
cameras.
space.
They have
Yeah.
everything.
Tesla's going to space though, dude, and so is Amazon. Like Google's not going to space.
That
Like
I get it.
and
but what I'm saying
Neuralink,
is-
and the Neuralink, dude. Do
But what
you
I'm
guys
s-
know what Neuralink is?
yeah,
yeah.
it's where you can control things with your mind.
No.
No, it's a
Neuralink
processing
is
chip
an implant that
yeah,
you put
the
in your
chip.
brain.
Yes, they make
That's
you
already gone through human fucking trials. That Tesla's like. I just want to talk about it real quick. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you. I know it's your podcast, but I
No,
have
no,
to,
go
like,
ahead, because then we got to
throw it out there real quick. So, before we get to F out of here, Neuralink is an implant in your brain that you will be able to like download a fucking skill, download like anything and learn it and then be able to pay it off with the skill you like learned, which is fucking wild. And they're using it for medical purposes right now. So right
it's like
now,
the
with the
Matrix.
purpose of it,
Yeah, are you looking
almost.
are you having are you
No,
watching
I see
shadows
somebody
in the
with a light
background, bro?
No,
you're gonna
I see
get
a light over
sniped.
there at my neighbor's house, so I'm like,
Yeah,
what the fuck
you're
is
gonna get
going on over
sniped.
Yeah,
It's
that's
already
that
happening.
government coming for you, bro.
Yeah, it's already happening. The government is already sending snipers.
there? No, you're good. No. It's my neighbor. He's good. He's on his phone and shit. But anyway, so like Neuralink is an implant for your brain that'll help you. Like, let's say you can't walk because you have a fucking like a problem with your spine. You'll be able to walk. You'll be able to see if you're blind. You'll be able to hear if you're deaf. You'll be able to
That's
like
I think you're
overcome all
taking it
these
to a more of an
obstacles.
extreme than what it actually is. It allows,
Elon Musk said it all, bro. Like,
I
you
get
can
it, but
watch
he says a
the-
lot of shit that doesn't mean it's gonna actually like listen, this is the end. What you're talking about is like its final form of application, right?
Eventually,
right now,
yes.
Right now, what a Neuralink does, it allows you to control things with your mind. That's basically what it does. Yes, it implants it and stuff, but to the point where I could be wrong then, and I'll do more research, but I've never heard of them being able to just download traits and attributes.
Oh yeah,
and
he talked
learn
about it
them
on the Joe
overnight.
Rogan podcast.
Like,
You will
talked
be
about
he
able
talked
to.
about it on
You'll
the
be
Joe
able
Rogan
to.
podcast.
Yeah, of
But
course.
we're not there yet. Right now, what we're at the point is they've used the Neuralink
Bro,
for
go ahead.
hold on. They've used the Neuralink for individuals who are like quadriplegic and things of that nature.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, they've already done it. This is what these were where they came from, and what it allowed them to do was it allowed them to control things with their mind. So number one, it allowed them to control their chair. Number two, it allowed them to control a computer to be able to type things out that they wanted to say. Right? There has been basic applications for it out for a long time. That's what the Neuralink was for, though. It was a device to allow people to control certain things because they didn't have the ability to control it. We have to go so much further because, like the spine thing, for instance, you can't just put a chip in your mind and make your spine work. That's not how it happens.
Well, the way it works is that you put something in your mind, and then there's a relay in the muscles that control that area of your
Those
body
muscles are
that will allow
damaged.
you to walk.
No, those
That will allow
muscles are
you to
damaged.
walk. Like
What they're
Elon
doing,
said it though. Like
because
I
what I'm
don't know,
saying-
man.
Because what he's not saying that is you have to. What they're going to do is they're going to surgically impact
Yeah.
things into your
That's
spine.
it's
that are gonna
multiple
take the
things that happen
place-
at once.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
of
saying.
course.
That are taking the place of those parts of your body that are irreparably damaged, and that's what your mind's going to control those things, and that's what's going to help you walk again. It's not. It's you know what I'm saying.
Huh?
So it is what it is. But
I'm just
I
going
get
off of
you're
what
saying.
Elon said though, bro. Like, because Elon even said it. Like, eventually, like, because I agree with you, it's not there yet, but eventually you'll be able to buy a Neuralink like you buy a car, right? You'll take out a loan with a bank to pay for it, and with whatever skill or trade or whatever, like if you want to learn how to trade the stock market, you'll be able to learn how to do it. Like, with that skill that you learn, you'll be able to pay off that loan and therefore continue to maintain that skill and continue to evolve. Like, it's all about singularity, right? There's some crazy shit going out there, man. And
I get
like,
it, but what we're talking about with this shit is like when somebody says, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna be able to live on Mars," right? Okay,
That'd
yeah,
be dope.
I'm just saying. But what I'm saying is this: is it possible? Yes,
absolutely.
How?
Absolutely.
But like, is
Nothing's
it anything
impossible.
recent in our future? No, right? Elon
No,
Musk
in
throws
the next
shit out
50
there,
years, absolutely.
Well, I'm
in the
just
next
saying,
50 years, we'll be in Mars, bro.
I don't know if we
All day.
will. Honest to God, I don't know if we will in the next 50 years.
I'm willing to bet on it, bro. We can
So,
make a
I'll
side
be-
wager.
I'll be in
and
my
in 50
90s.
years,
so
we can
I'll be able to
cash
see
it.
it.
That's
I'll
fine.
be in my
I'm just
90s,
saying
I'll be
that
able to
what
see
I'm
it.
trying to say though is I don't take too much onus into all that shit because it's like the show Black Mirror on Netflix, right?
That's just crazy too.
But that's basically what he's pulling from, right? All that shit on there is plausible, right? But how much of that shit's really, like that's all.
Just
All
like
right,
conspiracy
know.
theories.
you got some fact categories this week, Messiah?
Yeah.
You got one, G?
No, he said he wasn't gonna do one unless he
that's
wants
fine.
to do one.
I haven't thought of one, but I'll think of one while you say yours. Go ahead.
All
You
right,
both
guys,
go.
all
I'll go
right, let
last.
me go ahead and get the worst intro ever thrown up in there. All right. It's that time again for the feck out of here. where Messiah gets an opportunity to rant about his life. Everybody's favorite segment. Let's go, Messiah. What do you got for me this week?
Here's my thing, and I thought about it during the show as we're talking about conspiracy and all that. My fuck out of here says it's going to go back to the Champlain Tower. And the conspiracy behind it. I think it's kind of fucked up for the conspiracy behind it and how these things get created through conspiracy, because what happens is it takes away from the people that really lost their lives, right? And it sucks. And is a powerful people out there that's willing to sacrifice lives? Possibly. I mean, yeah, there's wars happen because of shit like that. I just think it's kind of like, for me to believe something like that, and when somebody will sacrifice innocent lives for it, for me, it's a fuck out of here. I don't believe in shit like that. I just think I love it and I entertain conspiracy. I just don't believe in them, and I don't believe innocent human lives will be destroyed over to get rid of something that doesn't really exist, right? And what I mean by that is, that whole thing behind that there was information, a terabytes there. I think it's kind of fucked up. I think it takes away from the tragedy that really happened, and it takes away from the families that really went through it. Just like, for example, the Orlando shootout that happened, there was conspiracy behind that. The schooling shootouts that happened, there was conspiracy behind that, and it takes away from the innocent lives that really got lost during that time for other people to create for their own thing. I'm not saying like there's people out there that believe and create these conspiracies just because, one, it's the world we live in. Two, they're looking for an answer. They can't get it because they can't trust the government or they can't trust anybody for it. So they create their own reality in the world. So my fuck out of here is that, let's just mourn those people that really lost their lives and forget about the conspiracy that happened.
Here's where I disagree. Here's where I disagree.
This is not a disagreement. This is a FOH. You can go next after.
All right. So you know what? This will be my FOH.
You can have your FOH. Okay. Go ahead.
This is going to be my
You're
FOH.
his FOH, Louis.
Come at
me. Normally I am. Go ahead.
All right. So here we go. So main screen me, so we don't got to listen to Messiah, right? What I can't stand is how people miss the point, right?
Okay.
And what I mean by that is this. Now, when tragedies happen and things like that go on, yes, we want to mourn the people who lost their lives. It was horrible and everything else. But how many of these events don't get brought to the light of day? How many of these things are just kind of pushed under the rug and not talked about? For instance, this thing that happened in Miami, right? There's no way in the world, I can pretty much guarantee you, that this platform and this show would have ever brought that up in its conversation. But what happened is there was a conspiracy theory about it. And what happened was that conspiracy theory caused individuals who may have otherwise had not cared a damn bit about looking into it and seeing what it was about to now try to find out what was the tragedy, which allowed them to now have appreciation and mourn for those people, but never would have done that without that conspiracy theory behind it. So what I say is, fuck out of here to the individuals who want to silence the people who are trying to have their voice heard about these tragedies that are going on in the world, in our country and everything else. But the individuals try to silence us and say, oh, just focus on the people whose lives were lost. Forget about everything else that caused it, right? Just focus on them. So that way we can get away with what we had to do. Fuck out of here.
Touche.
You know what? Fuck out of here to them too. Because you know what? All of a sudden, you inspired me to have a fuck out of here. Because I was talking to Louis, or I was talking to Messiah about it yesterday, and he was telling me like, have a fuck out of here moment. And my fuck out of here is to China. Like, F you, bro. Like, that's messed up that you're taking an indigenous people, you're putting them in re-education camps, and you're making them comply to whatever you have. Like, that's BS, bro. Like, nobody deserves to be a slave so that you can have whatever good. Like, that's inhumane. Nobody deserves that. There's children, there's mothers, there's fathers, there's grandparents that are suffering because of this. And, it's just effed up at the end of the day, man. Like, why can't we all get along? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a big fan of Bob Marley, and everybody should love each other, and that's why I'm big into conspiracies, man. Like, I love thinking outside the box. I love understanding everything that happens, and challenging it, because everything is not what it seems. So I'm always going to challenge it. I'm always going to have an open mind, and human life, to Messiah's point, is important, right? It's not fair to those people that passed away that we're making a conspiracy out of it, but at the same time, maybe it is, right? So you have to keep an open mind at the end of the day, and F out of here to all those people that don't think conspiracies are real, and to the Chinese government, because that's effed up. Like, you shouldn't be putting people in re-education camps and recreating the concentration camps that Germany did back in Nazi Germany, because that's effed up, man. Like, people are human. They breathe the same air as you. There's nothing that makes them less or more than you are. We're all the same. So that's my F out of here.
Well, guys, we ran way over, but we had great conversation, so it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, we did.
But until next week, we're still good to go, everybody. Just want to let you know. But 2 weeks from now, and we'll be posting on social media, we will be changing the day. Unfortunately, I have a work obligation, and I believe me, I'd rather be here with you than there with them, but I got to do what I got to do. For Messiah, for G, I'm the monster on the mic. We out.
We got the right stuff. We put the hammer right down. Wanna be like us? You